This video is for all my straight men. So this morning I was having a conversation with my straight friend on Facebook, and he was like, the events of P Valley's new episode, it's just not real life. And I told him, not only is it real life, I'm going to give you a real life example. I tell him about this time that I was invited to hang out with this guy in this hotel room. I get to the hotel room, everything is cool, we're smoking in the bathroom, we're chit-chatting. He's from out of town, he's in town for work. He was a cool guy, liked his vibe. We did what we did. But here's where it gets interesting. As I'm leaving the hotel room, he then physically blocks me and says, wait, before you leave, I have to make sure the hallway is clear because my wife and kids are next door. You will be surprised how many of these married men are actually down low brothers. And I don't like liars, so instantly I thought of that woman and how she's being lied to currently. Ooh, we about to get into some things tonight. Oh my gosh. Let me just tell y'all, first off, I have a nasty cough. So if you hear me coughing out my lungs, it's because I am. But listen, I can't do DO men. I'm sorry. And this is not to bash DO men because I feel like, there are certain men that have to be down low, as a safety precaution. I get that. And this is not to all the down low men. This is just a small little, fraction of that community where I just be like, all right, yeah, y'all too much of the majority. But I noticed that a lot of down low men, they have like a really strong religious like background or like a family or like a friend circle that pretty much makes like heterosexuality like the focal point in everything, but it's just like, yeah, an abomination. So I understand that. And with some men, they don't know how to maneuver around that, and they damn sure don't have the courage to come out and deal with that. And I respect that. I deeply understand because like it takes guts, it takes courage, it takes like authenticity, it takes like that will to really get out and be who you naturally are, despite who got anything to say about you. I understand. I 100% understand. So let me just kind of tell y'all when I first met a down low man. This was like when I was 17 years old. First off, he was going to my church. I had no idea he was going to my church. Had no clue. I did not know he was at my church, but he back then, if you remember, Kik. That was a thing. He found me on Kik, and he wrote me. He was just like, I just think you're so handsome, and I really want to get to know you. And I'm just like, who are you? And basically, he had told me that he went to my church and he had an interest in me, and I kept looking at the picture. I said, I know. And mind you, it was a handsome guy, tall, brown skin, taller than me, and I'm 6'1", tall, slim. And I was just like, how did I miss you? Did you just start going to this church? Because I never seen you. And he hit me up on a Sunday morning. I was going to church, so I was on extra lookout for this man. I was like, okay, let me find out who you are. So when I got to church that morning, that was like my sole mission was to find this man. And I found him. I said, when did you start going here? And I just really must be like so desensitized because I never saw you. But he came with a whole bunch of nothing. Because when I got to know him more, I found out, and this isn't the bad part, I found out he had a baby mama with 2 children. Cool. That really, didn't bother me. I'm like, okay. And it was the rigmarole and the, DL dance, as I call it, that came with that situation. So it started with he wanted to be with me. And we all know what that means. We're both young. He wanted to be with me for sexual reasons. Cool. We all finding ourselves. We barely even know our last name. Cool. He then get with me and then breaks up with me and then goes back to the girl. And I'm just like, okay, cool. It's my neighbors. I'm sorry. They get so loud. I just be like, and they all be child. Okay, anyway. But he had broke up with me and then went back to that girl. And the first time I did not care. The first time I did not care. I was legit like, okay, if you want to go back to her, go back to her. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. But then he came back. Again, please excuse this cough because tonight is giving a lot. But he came back. He wrote me back on Kick. At that thing at that time we were like, texting, so maybe that was a thing. But he wrote me back on Kick and was like, "I miss you," and I missed him too. So I was like, "All right, let's see what this is about again." And then he dumped me again. And after that second time, I crashed out. Not gonna lie, that second time I crashed out because first off, I was so mad. I was like, I could have stayed single. I could have, stayed minding my own business because, like, imagine me getting my hopes of this, like my maybe third guy interaction since me coming out. And I'm all excited because you're tall, brown skin. I'm thinking that you're the one, and you like jangling us back and forth. So that second time he broke up with me, I crashed out. I crashed out. And I did say some things about his children that triggered the response I deserved. And he was just like, I draw the last straw on my children. You're not going to come from my children. And I was like, them kids. That's what I said. And I was like, her too. Like, you're not going to jangle me back and forth. So that's how I felt. And then after all of that went down and like my feelings got sorted out, I was like, all right, that was stupid. I knew then at age 17, 18, I was like, yeah, the DL game ain't for me because I'm not gonna be doing this whole dance with y'all. You gonna be going back and forth, and I'm just gonna be here. With no, no, no. I knew then I wanted more. I knew then what a relationship looked like, and I'm so thankful that I had examples that showed me like we're not gonna start there. You know how like when you first come out, because we all like come from super strong religious backgrounds, you're really afraid to kind of do anything because you have no mentorship, you have no one to talk to, so you're just like kind of by yourself, even if you're like surrounded with friends. So, but then I knew I was like, yeah, I'm not interested in this game. I'm not interested in this whole rigmarole, this whole dance that you got me doing, because it was stupid at the end of the day. Like I was like, all right, yeah, I'm moving on. But then after that encounter, I genuinely did not mess with another down low man until the age of 25. And here's why. Oh, excuse me. So at age like 20, I met my first real boyfriend. He was butch. Like if you know what butch queen is, like it's like me, like kind of a mix of masculine and feminine energy into one male body, right? We both clockable. It ain't giving DL. You know what I'm saying? So when I met him, we were together for a few years, and then we broke up. And then I met another guy. He was more feminine than me. So I never did the dance with down low men. And typically down low men, they are like real hyper masculine. Well, at least the ones back then. Now, which I'm gonna get into in a minute, but yeah. So I didn't really have any like experience with down low men up until age 25 when I broke up with my last boyfriend and was just single and just like was roaming and like just running into different situations. I was like, a lot of y'all are down low, or at least you think you are. That was the gag. That was the gag. That was that was the gag because like DL man, they have like this culture of like secret lifestyles and just like this whole secretive culture in general that you kind of like have to dance around and you never really know what you're dealing with, so you got to be on guard. Like that's what I've like. That's why I don't really like down. I don't like dealing with down low men specifically for that reason. That's my number one reason because most of the times I'm in a situation I did not ask to be in, nor did I know the man. I've like when I tell you I've literally had a man come over. We do everything under the sun. And then he tells me after everything is done, um, I'm married. And I said, does she know like what you just did? Like, did she know like are y'all open? Like, what's going on? He was like, I guess I have to figure that out. Father God. Okay, like, but you could also blame me because, like, I should have pried for that information, but I wasn't used to. I wasn't used to asking men, "Are you down low?" Because I didn't have to do that. I guess I dealt with like strictly gay men. Like it wasn't no conversation about are you out and who you are and what's your sexuality. So it was never giving that. It was never giving that. Um, and then like I found out like as I got to know the culture more and more, like some down low men like actually have it as a kink. Like they have it as like it's like a thrill, the thought of possibly getting caught because it was this dude one time who I remember I was talking to on the app, if you understand where I'm coming from. And he told me, why don't you come over at like 11 o'clock? I'm like, why at that specific time? And he said, oh, because it's like 30 minutes before my girl's supposed to be getting home. I'm like, one, I did not know you had a girlfriend. I'm going to assume that she don't know what you're doing. Two, why would I come over to see you and she about to pull up? And this man told me like it's a thrill, like to possibly getting caught. And then he said this is how he pictured it to me. He was like, I wanted us to like be chilling on the couch and then we start messing around and like right when she's about to walk in, we like go back to being bros. That's so hot. That's just like so I'm just like, it's not, it's risky, it's stupid. It's like for what? And that's what I don't like. I'm just like y'all playing with people's like lives and emotions just for your gain. And that's what I mean by down low culture versus like down low men. Like I get down low men exist. Some of them exist with reason and safety attached to it, so that's understood. But some of them, a small little subsection, are strictly just in it for the culture itself and like the thrill that it, in the high that it gives them at the expense of other people's feelings in situations. That I don't like and I don't respect that. And that's the thing that I'm just like, I try to avoid, but you can't when you're dealing with a down low man. Like I just can't. They have a lot of rules, even like sexually, like they have this way of doing things because they wanted to have the ambiance and esque of a sneaky situation. Like any moment now we can get caught. Any moment now, people cannot see that we ain't bros no more. I want to give the impressions that we bros. We can go out and put on the imitation that we just bros, but in real life, behind closed doors, we getting down. I'm just like, okay, if that's your dance, you want to dance, cool, but just not at the expense of other. Like, I just don't like when girlfriends are involved. Hell, I don't even like when like these people have other boyfriends involved with this situation because like now you cheat on your boyfriend to get your thrill. Like, I don't like that. Don't be trying to chase no thrill. If you want a sneaky thrill to get you by, do that. I'm not saying down low culture is wrong. I'm just saying the sneaky, disregard for other people's feelings that are involved in the situation typically get disregarded, and that's what I can't clock with. I cannot. Um, it, it's like I don't, if you want to have it as a kink, cool, manage it well. But like I said, some dudes they just like, and I just think some dudes don't really be down low because let me tell you about this one dude. This one dude, we met on a dating app. I need to get off some apps. I really hate them, but it's really hard to meet people when you first off an introvert, and second, you don't go out that much. So that's that. But we were talking all day, you know, texting on the phone, getting to know each other, and he never told me he was down low. He never told me. I didn't even know. I had no idea. But long story short, we had made arrangements for one day we meet up or whatever, and we have a nice little session. We get the herbal needs, and we sit in the car and just talk. I love a good conversation. One thing about me, I will choose a car conversation over anything. I love, baby, the way to get me is to take me to like a really really nice secluded area We get some drinks, we light up, and we just talk and we get to know each other and we explore. I love conversation. I love intimate moments like that. But we had arranged that, set that up, and then when we ended up meeting, the very first thing he said when we got in the car was, "Oh, I don't know if I told you, but I'm down low." I'm like, I looked at him just like with this face, like it was irritation. I'm just like, so you mean to tell me like we've been talking all this time and you never mentioned that? I'm like, I'm going to assume you left that out for a reason. So now the whole conversation starts off and the whole vibe itself starts off with just like me irritated. I'm just like, okay, so I can feel like, we can make the best out of this situation, but right now I'm not feeling the vibe. I just don't like, because why not tell me that? And this is what I'm saying. Down low culture puts people, especially me, into situations that I didn't ask to be a part of. So we talking, we talking, we talking, we talking. So at this point, I feel like since you ain't tell me that you was down low, I have questions, and I don't care if I get a little invasive. So I'm like, so you say you down low. The person who you stand with, do they know what you got going on? And he says, oh yeah, he messed with dudes too. I said, so who are you down low to? Mind you, his voice was higher than mine. And I don't have the highest voice. I don't have the lowest voice. I kind of like I have a mid, tone voice. I find it very raspy. But his voice, even on the phone, I was like, again, I don't be asking these types of questions because y'all be so clockable. I'm just like, who wouldn't know you're, you know, not messing with dudes, but whatever. So he tells me that he basically came out to his immediate family, his mama, his, siblings, and I'm like, so you're not down low. You're not. I'm like the person who you live with not only knows but also messes with me, and then your whole family know. I'm just like I'm very sure if your family knows, maybe some friends also know. So I'm like, you're not down low. I'm like, you don't even give down low. I'm like, who wouldn't be able to clock you? This is why I said this new batch of down low men, they think that they're down low, but they just want to be a part of down low culture. Because back when I first graduated high school, down low men were like, I never knew. I didn't think it would be you. It was kind of like that moment. Now I'll just be like, who told you were down low? You're not down low, sis. You just want to be part of the down low culture, the sneaky links, the sneaky, feel to everything. Like when I tell you it is a true culture, they get off on like the sneaky, hidden type of situations, and I'm just like, don't say you down low, just say you discreet. Just say you discreet. Because, girl, who believes? I know you ain't trying to make me believe that you down low. But like I said in the video, if you really, really want to talk about down low men and you want to, try to find one, let me show you this video. Hold on, hold on. Watch this. How can we tell if men are on the DL and what should we look for? Listen, about 10 years ago, I would have had a really good answer for you, but right now, I really, really don't because dudes so motherfucking slick with it nowadays that I done met some down low dudes that done surprised the hell out of me, and my gator is always on. But I found out this, all down low men have one thing in common. If the topic of gay men or a gay man walks in the room or anything that has to do with gay men, gets in their environment and they get uncomfortable, that's the number one sign. A true straight man does not give a fuck about your sexuality. I promise you they don't. I have met some real straight men, confident straight men, who was like, you're a good fucking person and I really don't give a shit about your sexuality because I ain't fucking you and I have no reason to care about what you're doing with somebody else long as you cool with me. I hope that helps in some kind of way. That's what I've experienced. Okay. I talk a lot. I literally make money for just running my mouth. That's insane. But yeah, a lot of down low men, they get like real antsy when it comes to that topic. It's because it's triggering something. I always say this: it's either one or two things. Because I don't want to say that as soon as a heterosexual man they get antsy around that conversation that they're down low. That's not always the case because some of them are genuinely just, have hate in their heart for people of that community. I had to learn that. It's not always the case. Most of the time, it is where if you talk about LGBTQ topics or just gay men in general, or if a gay man walks in the room who's confident and knows who they are, it's going to make a lot of down low men who are trying to keep their lifestyle on the low uncomfortable because they're trying to keep their life on the low. They don't want to be clocked, so they're gonna make it seem as though they hate that energy. They hate it. They hate it. They hate it, and they can't be around it. But like I said in the video, someone who is so secure about their sexuality and genuinely does not care will not be affected because they know at the end of the day, I like women. And I don't care how much of a big booty boy walks in the room, it's not going to make mine hard. It's not going to make me feel no kind of way. And I know that about myself. You can't make me feel nothing differently. I can't convince myself. But it's the ones who get excited down there who trying to hide it. And that's why when that conversation comes up or somebody who is openly gay walks in the room, they be like, you are not about to put me on blast. Like it gets real. Like I just be like, listen, it's not that safe. Y'all the ones who have that down low like craving to be part of that culture, just interact with that culture so bad, that's cool. Just be safe. Because a lot of them put you in situations that is not safe for you. Like y'all kid and talk about how it's cute to be having a girlfriend, finding out and the baby mama texting you. That's not cute. Things can get real like crazy real quick. Like people's feelings when you imagine you and your feelings how you crash out. Like now imagine somebody else finding out not only that my man cheating, but at the same time they cheating with a whole different like you know what I'm saying? They can't compete with that. It's a lot to process mentally and emotionally. So I don't like that playing with people's feelings type of stuff. Like I'll just be like, if you don't want to be honest with the people around you, at least be honest with yourself and say that if I want to keep this on the low, let me do it on my terms and not involve anybody. At least have that kind of maturity. That's how I feel about it. Nothing wrong with down low, man. Nothing wrong with the culture. Nothing wrong. It's nothing wrong with interacting with that culture. It's just like be safe and put me in a safe position. And that's why I just be like, I don't necessarily like to go after down low men. I mean, there's been times when somebody told me that they're down low. I'm like, all right, it ain't my first choice. Sure ain't my second. But, as long as you're not giving too much, we cool. And they want to call us butch queens the messy ones. No, down low men, y'all be messy. Y'all be messy. Real messy. Real catty. And I'm like, girl, you better chill out. Don't hit me in my Ariana Grande shirt. That's how I be feeling. But yeah, and also, and this is my last point because I'm about to get up off here. This is my last point. Remember when I said that a lot of down low men, especially black down low men, have a lot of ties with religion and kind of have that background. So I just want to say that not only do the ties in religion, not only do down low men have a strong religious background and strong religious upbringing that kind of prohibits that kind of openness with their identity, but like some people are so afraid and bullied into thinking that who they are naturally cannot be accepted, that they will like literally continue to dwell in the place that tells them that rhetoric, but then participate in that and spread that same rhetoric as if you are doing or not doing the very thing that you're talking against behind closed doors. And that is when I feel like it gets too extreme and it's like now you're a hypocrite. Because not only are you down low, but you a whole pastor and you're talking so hard against the very thing that you low key be doing. Baby, how let me tell y'all how I had a whole pastor. I was seeing a whole pastor. I didn't even know he was a pastor. Not only was he a pastor, but my friend knew him. I'm talking to this dude, we hanging out. He was an older guy, and I was talking to my friend, like describing him to her, and it wasn't the very first time when I was describing him to her that she figured it out. It was the second time was when I saw him again and he told me, "Oh yeah, I am a pastor." And honestly, that's it didn't trigger me. I'm just like, okay, I know a bunch of openly gay pastors. I know a whole. I literally went to a church in a city near where I live, and they had a whole openly gay church. So I know it existed. I was surprised that he was black and doing it. I said, but to each of his own. Again, I don't think to be asking those questions like, "Oh, you say you this? Are you down low?" Like it don't cross my mind. So then when I told my friend about him again, about us hanging out again, described him to her, and I was like, "Oh, and he's a pastor." Baby, she just got silent. She got quiet. She got quiet because the way I was describing him and the way how she knew him, she said, "Wait a minute." And literally, we were on FaceTime, and she was like, "Is this him?" And I was like, "Yeah." She said, it just got real quiet on me, and it was like it hit her deep. Cause I guess like I don't know, I haven't, I think I did go to his Facebook page because she showed me it, and I was like, "Oh, I see why she reacted the way that she did." I mean, he's on live streams doing all like warring against, and that's what took her by surprise because I'm just like, he's going so hard against the very thing that he was doing with me, and she would have never known had I never like start talking to her about him. And with that being said, just don't be no hypocrite. Be who I be who you are. Be who you are. If you can't be who you are openly, you don't have to be out here having a rainbow flag. You ain't got to be out to nobody. It's your business. However, when you get other people involved in it and they get wrapped up emotionally, spiritually, physically, you got to ask yourself, how selfish am I to really put my needs and my wants and my thrills before anybody else? Despite what they may have to say about it, despite like how they may be affected with me being so secretive and lying about essentially who I am at the core. That's all I gotta say about it. I ain't got nothing against my down low man, but that's all I gotta say about it. What do y'all feel about down low men? Let me know in the comments how y'all feel. Tell me how y'all feel about down low men and how it has a religious background. Do y'all think that's true or not? But I hope